Dave Palumbo for RX Muscle Supplement Science. All right, guys, I'm going to be doing a number of installments over the next couple of weeks of shows where I'm going to explain the science of supplements, nutritional ones, the ones that we get in the health food store, the ones we get through the gray market. Whatever it is that's of interest to the community, I will address. And I think one of the biggest, I guess you could say, most confusing topics out there is protein science and protein supplements. There's a bevy of whey supplements out there on the market, casein supplements on the market, egg protein on the market, milk protein, which is technically, casein and whey. There's vegan proteins. There's branched-chain amino acids, there's essential amino acids. Pretty much, if you want to simplify things real easily, whey protein isolate is the purest, most potent form of a food supplement. Now, this is an important point to make. Whey isolate is a complete food. It's whey protein. It's from milk. It's not people putting amino acids into a bottle or putting, all kinds of different minerals or vitamins and shaking it up. This is actually extracted directly from milk. And because of the new sophisticated filtration techniques that we have nowadays, we could actually run whey protein through a filter and get everything out of it except the whey isolate, the whey protein itself. So that's why they call it a whey isolate, because you're isolating the whey from everything else that's in it. What else is in it? Lactose, predominantly milk sugar. That's a huge one. And we know what happens when you consume a lot of lactose, especially if you're an adult, and most adults are lactose intolerant. You wind up fermenting the stuff. You get gassy, you get diarrhea, you malabsorb the protein you're eating. So we don't want that stuff in there. We get that out. It also pulls all the fat out of there. Okay? Usually what you're left with, if you have a good whey protein isolate, is trace carbs. Very, very small amounts. You want a good quality whey isolate, and that could be used in place of food meals, okay? So instead of eating 6 food meals a day, which is a pain in the neck, and you have to cook, and it's more expensive, you can maybe 2 or 3 of those meals do shakes. And what you would do is you would take your whey isolate and you would combine it with some sort of a fuel source. Now, why are you going to do that? Well, you don't want to just take whey isolate alone, maybe unless you're dieting, because what's going to invariably happen is some of that protein will get used for energy in the body, okay? So you always want to eat, when you're consuming food, you always want to have a fuel source plus the protein. So, I have a lot of my clients combined, whey isolate with almond butter or all natural peanut butter, macadamia nut oil. You can mix it, post-workout with a nice carb source, a high molecular weight carbohydrate. So what that does is it enables you to have a food replacement. Now, when we talk about amino acid formulas, like the branched-chain amino acid, or essential amino acids that they have out on the market now, what we're talking about is someone's taking individualistic amino acids and they're putting it into a formula arbitrarily, coming up with different ratios. Sometimes they got a 3-to-1 ratio of the 3 branched-chain amino acids. Sometimes they have a 2-to-1-to-1 ratio. They got different formulas that they put out there. But what they're basically doing is taking predominantly the branched-chain amino acids, okay, leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and they're putting it in high amounts, and they're putting a artificial sweetening flavoring system in there. It's carb-free, it's fat-free, and basically you're just getting amino acids, and it depends which ones the companies use. Some companies only use the branched chains. Some companies use all the 8 essential amino acids, okay? The most, popular ones on the market are the branched chain amino acids. And you see people drinking these things all day long. I see it during people's contest diets. They think, oh, that doesn't count. There's no calories in there. And then what happens is they stop losing weight because they're putting protein into their body. Even though it's not a complete protein like a food, it's still protein. It does have calories in it. However, the difference is, once again, if you drink branched-chain amino acid formulas all day long, you're throwing off the ratio of those 3 amino acids to all the other amino acids in the body. Now, there's about 20 to 21, we're not really sure exactly, there might even be more, amino acids, okay, that comprise protein. So when you basically break down whey protein, chicken protein, meat protein, you get amino acids, and there's about 20 different ones. If you're only putting 3 into a shake and you're drinking that all day long, What about the other 17 or 18? Obviously, your ratios are skewed. Now, that's not to say that branched-chain amino acid formulas don't have a place in bodybuilding, and they do. And I know a lot of people think that I don't like them. I do like them, but they're not used properly. What are they good for? Well, post-workout, after you train, whether it be cardio or you do weight training, you're breaking down muscle tissue. The switch inside your body, okay, also known as mTOR, that turns on the protein machinery, the repair machinery in the body, is flipped on. The switch is turned on by high branched-chain amino acid residues, specifically leucine. Leucine will turn on the protein machinery. Now, if you don't pump in more protein, okay, whether it be whey or, I like to use whey because it gets in fast, but you can use any protein. So if you don't pump more protein in addition to those branched-chain amino acids, specifically leucine, then your body can't repair itself. But the switch that turns on protein machinery in the body is flipped on by leucine, okay? Or to a lesser degree, the other two branched-chain amino acids. That's undeniable. So post-workout, even, you could take some branched chains if you wanted to. If you didn't want to have to gulp down a whey isolate shake, you might want to take some branched chains and then go home an hour later and have, and have some food, or even a half hour later. So if you wanted to drink it after cardio, it would be not necessarily the worst idea, especially if you're not dieting for a show. If you're dieting for a show, I don't like to start pumping it in. Off season, it's great between meals, okay? I would recommend 2 servings per day. When you start getting into 3, 4, 5 servings a day, I think now you're throwing off the ratios of the amino acids. Some people drink them during their workout. It's not necessarily the worst thing, especially in the off season. I don't have a problem with that. Pre-contest, I wouldn't do that because we don't want to start feeding in amino acids that theoretically can be turned into sugar and used for fuel. We want your body to use stored fat, for fuel. So they're not terrible right before you train either. If you wanted to drink an amino acid drink right before you went to the gym, I'd probably be more in favor of that than any other time, because now you're putting some amino acids into the bloodstream and your body can utilize those while you're training. If you ate a huge meal right before you went to the gym, it's just going to lay in your stomach. So the difference between a whole protein supplement like whey isolate versus a branched chain amino acid product is, one is a whole food, one is just a bunch of amino acids in a bottle, okay? And if you're going to use amino acids, make sure you look for fermented amino acids. Those are amino acids that are basically synthesized from bacteria expressing them, rather than the usual way, the cheap way, which is where they go to the hair salons in China and they buy up all the swept up hair, and they use the hair they digest the hair, and that's where they get the amino acids from. I know it sounds gross, but it's the truth. So look for products that say fermented amino acids on them. I hope you guys are enjoying, all the information that we do provide to you. For now, though, I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle Supplement Science Update.